Hello, it's your old friend, Some Asshole here, and today I'm going to do something a bit different. I'm not gonna make some shitty, poorly edited video whining about some fucking video game or something stupid and pointless. Today, I'm going to go off the beaten path a bit and kind of try to talk about and ultimately dispel some of the brash superstitions that the West holds against good old North Korea. There's a lot of fear-mongering and downright falsehoods that come with anything North Korea related when most of the rest of the world, again especially the West, talks about it. I want to forward this whole video by saying, yes, I am not an absolute master on North Korea. I have read around a dozen great books on North Korea. I've researched what has to be maybe over 200 hours or so on the bitch. And I've come to have a very close and almost intimate view on the country, but again, I am by no means a master. I'm not going to say anything no one else knows or anything like that. The purpose of this video is to just kind of spread awareness for what kind of state North Korea truly is and try to, again, dispel some of the bullshit lots of us believe about North Korea and the true threats that it poses. I am going to mostly refute a few major points with this video, and I'll just kind of shoot the shit about them and tell you what I know and what my take on it is, and hopefully impart some of the knowledge onto you as well. So, let's begin. But North Korea has to be a threat. Kim Jong-un is insane, and he thinks he's a god, and that he won't die if you nuke him. Alright, let's start with the big cheese himself, Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un came into power after his father, Kim Jong-il, died back in 2011. Kim Jong-il was, simply put, legitimately fucking crazy. His son, on the other hand, however, is really a big, different story. The West paints Kim Jong-un a bit as like father, like son, and while it's true that Kim Jong-un is a terrible dictator and an all-around shitty human being, he is not insane. He does not think he's some kind of god or that he should rule the world or anything like that. In fact, at the moment, Kim Jong-un barely controls North Korea, and this is very important for the rest of the points that we will be talking about, so remember this. Kim Jong-un came into power again after the death of his father. But while it might seem like a pretty simple thing, you know, the father dies, the son takes over, it was anything but that. You see, Kim Jong-un is pretty much in constant fucking danger of being deposed or assassinated. The guy basically reigned in power after his father's death by using and then executing his closest allies. It's pretty much fucking Game of Thrones over there, and I am not saying this to make a joke. Kim Jong-un has executed like over 1,000 men and women who were just a few years ago some of his strongest and closest allies. He holds on to power by literally threads. If any of the Korean dictators were to be feared for doing something stupid and incredibly brash, it would have been Kim Jong-il. Like I said, Kim Jong-il was legitimately goddamn bananas. And it's a good compare and contrast between his rule and his son's rule. See, Kim Jong-il was very comfortable and secure in his dictatorship, unlike his son currently is. So Kim Jong-il lived a life pretty much, you know, in total control without a lot of fear for his inner circles backstabbing him, which again led him to, you know, turn into a goddamn insane person. Kim Jong-un, on the other hand, is nowhere near as powerful as his father was, and it's very humbling on the guy. He's not insane. He doesn't think he's a god or whatever else you fear-mongered yourself into believing. Kim Jong-un is fully aware of how weak his claim to North Korea currently is, and how weak North Korea itself currently is on a global scale. He's not going to nuke anybody. He's not going to try to start World War III. He's not a second Hitler, and North Korea is not a second Nazi Germany. But if Kim Jong-un isn't insane, then surely his people are, which leads us to... North Korea has a giant army of brainwashed zealots who aren't afraid to die. Look, it's downright fucking ignorant to think that the bulk of the North Korean soldiers are just totally unafraid to die. Like, they have zero reservations about throwing their lives away, and they're all soulless, inhuman death machines praying for the day that they get to die gloriously in battle or something like that. It's kind of the same thing with Muslims. Stupid ass Americans say dumb shit like, oh, they aren't afraid to die because they get like 70 virgins or something when they die, so they're not afraid to die. This might be true for the absolute most zealous among them, like the tiny percentage that are truly, truly crazy and brainwashed, but it's not true for a lot of them. This is like saying that Americans aren't afraid to die because they're Christians, and Christians aren't afraid to die because they think they go to heaven and live with Jesus. Yeah, I'm sure there are some Christian soldiers who aren't afraid to die because of their religious beliefs and life after death, but it's a very small number of them. Your typical fucking Christian is pretty fucking afraid of dying, and it's the same fucking thing with North Koreans. Are there North Koreans who aren't afraid to lay down their life in service of their country? Yes, I'm sure there are plenty of brave North Koreans like that, just as there are plenty of brave Americans. And yes, the majority of them are quite deluded in their views of their own country and the rest of the world around them. But painting them all as insane, death-obsessed wackos is not just ignorant and wrong, it's downright fucking counterintuitive to combating them. You have to understand your enemy to really confront your enemy. Maybe you don't always need to understand them in order to kill and defeat them, but you must understand them in order to truly confront them. North Koreans may be a bit more heavily sheltered than the rest of us, to say the least, but they're not fucking monsters. Quit it. Quit spreading lies and falsehoods for the purpose of exciting yourself with fear-mongering. Lots of North Korean soldiers and loyalists might see their glorious leader in the same way a lot of Americans see Jesus or whatever faith they believe in, but it doesn't mean they're all insane and will happily pour over an enemy dying by the thousands. This might come as a huge shock to you, but they're just as much a person as you are. If you don't understand this, you will never beat them. 10 out of 10 fucking times. But if their military isn't as brainwashed and zealous as we think they are, then surely... But they're a really big military, one of the biggest in the world. They could invade someone. Oh. Whenever you see two cunts arguing with each other on some internet forum or YouTube comments over the exact strength, size, and capabilities of the North Korean military, you'll probably notice something. That they're both bringing up facts and sources that are saying different things. This is because the outside world doesn't have a very clear understanding of the truths behind the North Korean military. We get our information primarily through three sources. 1. What North Korea themselves say, which is hard to believe by itself because of course they're going to fucking lie. 2. Educated guesses and estimations based on either what few facts we can gather or just personal fucking opinions. 3. The findings of what so very few foreign reporters are allowed into the country get to report on. Again, heavily inaccurate because of course North Korea will only allow those reporters to see and hear the things that North Korea wants them to see and hear so that they can report only good and positive things both to the outside world and, more importantly, to North Korea itself. Arguing about the exact specifics of the North Korean military is fucking worthless. I challenge you to research it and try to find two sources that agree with each other. You will not fucking find it. No two sources, unless one source is reporting from another source and therefore repeating its information, is going to agree with each other on this, and that's because we don't have the information to have clear, truthful understandings, and ultimately, none of this really matters that much. Let us talk about what we do know for absolute sure concerning North Korea's military. Whatever numbers you have, they are most assuredly inflated or skewed some way or another. Is North Korea's military big? Yes, it probably is very large and numbering in the millions, but exact numbers are impossible to find. What is more is that you have to take into consideration the kind of shit North Korea counts as service members. Look, here's some media footage of a North Korean military parade. See these Girl Scouts with machine guns? Yeah, those are soldiers in the North Korean army. Like, literally, it's the equivalent of America taking a bunch of tiny, cute women, putting them in silly dresses, giving them outdated firearms, and then marching them in formation and saying, yep, these are buffers to the American military. Yep. So while the numbers of actual soldiers are pretty high, it's hard to know the number of real, serious soldiers versus retarded shit like this. North Korea's military is poorly equipped, poorly resourced, and can't invade anything. Ignoring the fact that a lot of the arms the North Korean military has are outdated and possibly even archaic, the country is currently going through a major famine, and this is a country that is constantly experiencing famine. Even if North Korea went off the hizzy boy and went insane and just decided that they were going to invade, say, South Korea, they wouldn't fucking get very far. They don't have the resources, the food, the fuel, the cold hard power to invade. They're likely more than sufficient enough to guard their own borders and country. Like, if America and China suddenly teamed up and were like, yeah man, let's get North Korea, yeah, fuck North Korea, it'd probably turn into a second Vietnam. The point I am trying to make is that North Korea isn't Nazi Germany, no matter how much you want to romanticize it that way. They aren't going to blitzkrieg a bunch of countries and cut through half of China. They simply just aren't. But who needs an army when you have... But they got nukes and stuff now. Or they're gonna nuke us because they're crazy. Whoa. No, they're not fucking crazy. I can't say this enough. See, the nukes issue is the biggest one, not only because it's about North Korea having nuclear devices, but also because it's the pinnacle of explaining why North Korea is the way it is. North Korea isn't going to nuke anyone. They have no reason to do that. If they did, they know they would be destroyed in turn. In fact, if they tried to launch a nuke, it probably wouldn't even reach its destination, even if its destination was like South Korea. North Korea is not insane. Kim Jong-un is not insane. He doesn't think he is some kind of god. He doesn't think he can nuke whoever he wants. So then why, you might ask, does North Korea want nukes? Why is it threatening the world? Well, it might surprise you to learn this, but North Korea doesn't give a shit about America or China or Russia or anywhere on the globe. North Korea is worried about North Korea. North Korea is worried about controlling North Korea, not controlling America or South Korea or China or whatever. They don't care. North Korea, in particular, the current ruling regime, wants to be seen as a worldwide superpower, not because it wants to be recognized so much by other countries, but because it wants to cement its control over North Korea. By appearing strong on a global scale by procuring nukes and standing up to America, the North Korean regime is sending a message both to its oppressed population, which is the massive majority of the country, by the way. Ever seen A Bug's Life? Yeah, A Bug's Life is pretty much North fucking Korea. And also the rival political factions within the country that, given the chance, will gut Kim Jong-un like a fucking fish if he doesn't find and execute them first. Remember when I said North Korea was pretty much Game of Thrones, and then I said I wasn't saying that to make a joke? Yeah, that's because I fucking wasn't. North Korea is like medieval Europe or something. It's literally a small country cut off from the rest of the world. It doesn't care about the rest of the world. Anything North Korea does that involves the rest of the world is only a ploy by its ruling power to strengthen their grip on the country. North Korea wants America to fear it, but only so Kim Jong-un can make himself more powerful in North Korea. If you insist to be ignorant and look at North Korea as some kind of insane anomaly where a bunch of inhuman banana people rule and logic and sensible thinking don't exist, then you are an uneducated cunt who isn't even making an effort to stop being a shithead. North Korea is just as human as you, and if you want to break North Korea and break it effectively, you need to understand this. You need to understand that Kim Jong-un is not some kind of deluded madman who thinks he's a god. He's a dictator who barely controls his position and needs to do something to keep himself in power. You need to understand that the Korean military, while largely comprised of incredibly shut-in, sheltered, and horribly naive people, is not some kind of unstoppable force of brainwashed killing machines who are ready to be unleashed on the unsuspecting world. You need to understand that North Korea is not going to nuke anyone. If North Korea was going to detonate a fucking nuclear device anywhere, it'd be within North Korea. So, then why do we give in to the fear? It's not that hard to understand why, really. It's because people like the fear. They like the excitement. For as strange as it sounds, people want North Korea to be Nazi Germany. It's romantic to believe that another purely evil force is gathering and that the world has to join together to stop it. It's boring to accept the truth that North Korea is just a harmless, horrible dictatorship that isn't a threat to anyone else. I'm not defending North Korea in any way, mind you. North Korea is purely a piece of shit, and one day I hope the rest of the world truly does end it. But to truly confront North Korea when that time invariably comes, be it 1 year or 10 years or maybe 50 years, we have to confront them as the enemies they are and not the enemies we wish they were. The truth is, North Korea isn't insane. It's just a backwater, shut-in dictatorship ruled by people who have to build themselves up to be more than they truly are just so they can keep their fickle power before they're eventually fucking executed by the people that they used to be allies with. In short, North Korea is a lot like you. Just a harmless retard. Sleep easy, goddammit.